Welcome to Resistance Chicks. I'm Michelle. This is my sister Leah. We want to bring to you this absolutely ridiculous interview by former Olympian
James Cracknell, a British athlete, a two-time gold medal Olympian.
Because that makes him an authority.
But guess what, you guys? He has his sights set on 2020. I'm wondering with the snap election if he wants to run now. I would like to.
No, he literally has his sights to be an MP. He said, "I'm going to go for 2020." And I'm like, maybe the snap election, maybe you guys can have this wonderful man.
You know what? He has something that's really important to him that he wants to tackle. And I just want you to hear what he has to say, because this is worldwide a big problem and he has answers.
Yeah.
And we should listen clearly to him.
Yes.
Child obesity program that was...
He wants to tackle child obesity and he has this fantastic solution, you guys. Seriously.
White paper was out and it changed massively from the white paper to what's been implemented. But there are other pressures going on, and the only way you can do it is either moan about it from the outside and not try and do anything, or get about and do it from the inside. And it is, if you think of the two countries in the world that have got a handle on obesity, what do you think they are? Which two countries?
Do you know what? I'm stumped there, I don't know.
North Korea and Cuba.
Right.
They're quite controlling on behavioural change. So, North Korea and Cuba.
Do you know what?
Handle on obesity, what do you think they are? If you think of the two countries in the world that have got a handle on obesity, what do you think they are? Which two countries?
Do you know what? I'm stumped there, I don't know.
North Korea and Cuba.
Right.
They're quite controlling on behavioural
She
change.
laughed.
So, there is a place, it will have to be worked, and you have to get people to buy into it. And the reality
To buy
is
into it.
Yeah, but people are starving in North Korea, aren't they? They're not, they're not obese because they haven't got any food.
Exactly, but there are sanctions and everything else. But it's the example of behavioural change. So there is a place. It will have to be worked, and you have to get people to buy into it. And the reality is that.
Yeah, but people are starving in North Korea, aren't they? They're not, they're not obese because they haven't got any food.
Exactly, but there are sanctions and everything else. But the example is behavioural change.
It's behavioral change.
Because North Korea and Cuba are really good at behavioral change.
Yeah.
So you've got a dictatorship commie government. You can't do anything. You make like 5 pesos a month.
Food is rare.
You don't have Wi-Fi access. You don't decide what you're going to be. They do have education because you sit down and you learn that
how to be a good
Castro
little...
is awesome.
Yeah.
America is awful. And
how to curb your cravings, actual needing of meals once a week or something.
You can't really start your own businesses. You can't really leave the country. And then we have this in North Korea. I just thought we would bring up a couple pictures here of the not obese children.
Right, yeah. They don't look fat at all.
No, and I really think that that's what he's kind of going for. Because he really, obviously... you just got to watch what you eat. Obviously this child realizes that if you go into dumpsters, you can probably find some food and you're not going to be overweight. I mean,
this is my face right now about this idiot. I don't care if you people love this James.
I mean, this guy just has incredible bone structure. You can tell that, you guys, I think that North Korea is having they had a huge starvation, horrible drought and plague thing in 2013. A lot of people died. And this is something that you can't, I can make fun of this guy, but this is really serious. And to even mention North Korea, this guy should be taken out and shot in the head. I'm not even kidding you. He doesn't even deserve to live. Because North Korea is this horrible dictator. They have to believe that this fat guy here is God, right? And they make donuts for him. Pretty much he eats them all. And when you hear about what's going on in North Korea, you cry crocodile tears. You don't say, hey, they have a handle on obesity. Because you got to get in people's minds and control people's minds. That man is disgusting. He's like messed up in his head. Like he has such a twisted view on weight and eating. And here's the thing, Olympians eat mass amount of food. He probably ate enough food as an Olympian
to feed a village.
A village. He's just, and so those people to me
I think his bleach blonde hair is getting into his brain just a little bit.
Yeah, North Korea just cut the rations, I believe, below what the UN says that people even need to survive daily. That's why everybody, they make jokes about short Koreans and how they all have baggy clothes. When we went to Russia, after the wall fell, 95. My aunt, who is anorexic and just a real ditzy blonde, she went around saying, "Oh my gosh, look at all these women, they're so thin." And come to find out, they're starving. They were going without food. My aunt, who is Russian, she was jealous because here in America, you guys can get cream cheese. We can't get cream cheese. We can't. I mean, she married my uncle, and so she could have her access to food, different foods. But the majority of Russians, they tried to grow their own food, and so they were starving, they were hungry.
Right.
I mean, this was just after the wall fell, just after the bread lines kind of ended. So when you see the North Koreans and you see how thin they are, it's not out of any, it's because they're starving.
Exactly.
And to make a joke he wasn't even joking.
No, he was serious.
So serious. He was serious as a heart attack. Cuba and North Korea.
I have to tell you though, in all honesty, and he probably just pulled up stats on the internet, and he's probably so airheaded that he has no idea the socioeconomic structure of Cuba or North Korea
And he wants to
understand why they're all skinny. And that news anchor was like, yeah, but they're not, they're kind of starving. And he said, well, yeah, but there are sanctions and stuff. That's what
because we're not letting food in, and but socially we're working on it.
We got a handle
on it.
All right, you guys. This is Leah Michelle signing off for Resistance Chicks, where it is not
If
just
he
a
had said
conspiracy
Japan,
theory.
I would have understood that.
Right.
But did you know in Japan, what they do is as you get to a certain age, like over 40, they measure your waist when you go to the doctor, and women are allowed to have as big of a 36-inch waist, which is kind of hard a lot for like older women.
Tall?
For older women, and men have to have like a 34-inch waist or something like that. I might get those numbers wrong. It might be like 38, 36 or something. But they literally like demand that you have to go through programs and stuff.
Okay, because I was in the middle of signing off, but now you triggered something else in my mind. This is why, one of the reasons why I am so anti-social health care, because when they're going to give you free health care, then they can now start to control you and tell you, well, if you're not going to keep yourself healthy, you know what I mean? And that's what makes it so wrong and so evil, because I have heard so many people here in America say, well, we really do just need to crack down on what people can eat. And they did make laws with this unsupersizing, McDonald's and stuff like that. So
if you didn't make farming so illegal for people, we wouldn't have these problems. I just got a phone call or a text message from a friend today. I am blown out of the water. I am so angry about this. There is a couple, and they have a child who has a lot of health problems, and they grow their own food, and they need raw milk.
So they have a goat.
And so they live on an acre, and you can make this happen.
You do a lot on an acre.
But the county just came that a neighbor complained that they had animals, and they want them to get rid of their animals. They're so distraught. We are going to do whatever we can to help them. You're probably going to hear from us. But on the front line today, in America, for Christians, a lot of Christians are getting back to God blessing, and just people in general are getting back to the land, and they're trying to grow their own food, and they realize that there is a life cycle. I know we have some vegans and vegetarians, but you guys, farms are traditionally set up because animal eats grass, right? We don't eat grass. The whole world is covered in grass. Animal eats grass, poops things out. Poop is actually
very
manure.
Nutritious for the
goes
soil.
Back into the soil for the garden vegetables. In some cities like in Japan and China, they used to actually collect human manure because they knew you had to put good things back into the soil.
Right.
They actually did not contract, incredibly, a lot of diseases this way. However, I think in England they did that too. But you have to put nutrients back, and so
if you don't use animals to do it,
you have to use petroleum-based fertilizers. So we need to get away from petroleum-based fertilizers, which actually take nutrients out of the ground. So
and they make you dependent on them.
So
forever.
we're talking about obesity. Not one of you can say anything while there is one law on the books
against farming or keeping animals
or gardening in America. Because when you outlaw things that keep you healthy, no, just move to the country. People, there's not
You
enough
know how
jobs in the
expensive
country,
it is to move
right?
to the country.
There in every neighborhood and in America, we have good sized lots, a lot of lots, right? You can do chickens, you can do a vegetable garden
You can
in
do
almost
pigs,
every
you can do a small
yard.
cow.
In almost every yard.
Yep.
In America.
Well, okay, maybe not the cow in every yard in America, but you could do
There's
chickens for
many
sure.
cows, right? These animals do not pollute. If you do it right, they don't smell. Chickens actually, a rooster's crow is lower than a dog's bark in decimals. So as I talk to you about these things, it makes me incredibly angry because we have totally gotten people away from how food is made. Everybody wants to buy organic and buy from the farmer,
Well,
right?
what about just growing organic and being the farmer?
Because when you are the farmer, England was made up of cottage gardens. We just watched the show on backyard gardens and stuff like that. You guys,
If you haven't watched Gardener's World, it's one of the most popular shows in England. Watch it.
At one time, everybody had a cottage garden,
Right.
and everybody had a hog. And what would happen is there would be a kid or a guy run through,
Right,
and he would
pick
be a
up
shepherd
little,
of
like
all
kind
the
of a
hogs.
hog piper.
Yeah, exactly. He would whistle, and all these hogs would come out, and they knew where they were going. They
They
trained
go
them
down the street, down to the
woods
pasture.
all day.
Hey, guess what, guys? Pigs eat grass. A lot of
And
people
in
think
the
pigs
woods,
eat
they
corn.
root around. They'd actually root around the woods, and then he'd bring them back in the evening, and they'd pet them up.
And they'd all go to their homes. They knew where they were supposed to go.
Isn't that so cool?
Yes.
And so here's the thing: we've gotten away. Our minds are so that food comes from animals stuck in concrete buildings, and they never get to move without like a 4x4.
They never see sunlight.
area.
It's awful.
And it's more natural for animals to be in a place where we don't see them than to have to see them in somebody's front or backyard.
Right. Because as people that aren't vegetarians and still don't want people to be farming and growing their own food, they would rather eat the meat that is grown where the animal is tortured its whole life, because then it's worth killing because it had a horrible life anyway, so we can kill it. But if an animal has a good life, because we run into this frequently, that we raise our own animals for meat, and they're like, oh my gosh, how can you kill an animal and like eat it? And I'm like, so you're a vegetarian? Well, no, but like I could never do that. I can't believe you guys can do that. That's like really heartless. So it's less heartless to have an animal in confinement, like a chicken that lives its entire life
In a one by one box. Do you know
big.
that in a lot of chicken houses, they just keep putting chicken on top of chicken,
And then the chickens
literally
die and
smush
decompose, and then
underneath of them.
yeah, they do that frequently because
And
the
people
chickens
would,
trample
and
on
that's
each other.
okay. Legally in America,
Yeah, that's
you
all
can
right.
do that all across the country.
But if you get chickens and your rooster happens to crow and it bothers your neighbor, oh my gosh, you're like the worst person ever.
this is the one thing that makes me more angry than even the Federal Reserve. Because right now, under the Federal Reserve, I could still farm. But there's laws that make it so I can't even farm. And there's laws against selling. There's laws against buying. They make the tax code for farmers, they make the tax code for everybody incredibly hard, which is what we're going to get to later on today, the tax code. How the IRS chief doesn't do his own taxes because he says the code is too hard for him to understand.
Okay, we're going to cover that in a bit, but we'll sign up for the starving children in North Korea right now. You guys get the point. As long as it's illegal to grow and raise your own animals and food,
I'm getting
you're
on my
going to
angry
have obesity because everybody is forced. There's your angry eyes.
I'm
Everyone
getting
is
out
forced
my
to go
angry
to-
eyes.
Wow, okay, all right. Well, you can come and see Leah's anger here back in just 1 minute where we can bring you the Coinage Act that our mother has so beautifully helped us to compose.
I'm going to be okay, but
Breathe. All right,
I'm
you
in
guys.
blood pressure medicine right now.
This is Leah Michelle signing off
Socialized
for Resistance
medicine.
Chicks, where it is not just a conspiracy theory. If it's the truth, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring that little bell for notifications so you can get more of Leah's crazyisms. And find us on Facebook and Twitter. We love you, God loves you, and God bless. And go eat something. Go grow something.
Go grow something. Go plant a seed. Any seed. Apricot seed.
I was cold all alone. No place for